YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, we'll be talking about voiceless voice. Yes, after a few days or after a few weeks, we're still talking about voiceless voice. But I've searched out some other good variants for voiceless voice. I think the best one so far was Kashtira's. Branded was so bad, and honestly, the one copy of Branded Fusion was so bad. But we actually managed to play through, even if we were just running with one copy. Nevertheless, Kashtira was one of the best variants for Voice's Voice, and it almost got me to Masters with that. For this build, we are running Naturias. Yes, it is a weird build, but honestly, it works perfectly fine. We are not running Diviners, we are not running any Trias, so we have to remove some of the cards from the extra deck and the main deck. Low is still pretty good though. Normal summon this, you still go with your Voice's Voice combo. It's still not half bad. Now, the best hand for this is a copy of Low on hand plus a copy of Saphira, and maybe a copy of Naturia Camellia or even a copy of Cricket. These cards will be your best combo so far for your deck. We are running the one copy of Saphira, Divine Dragon of the Voiceless Voice. The reason for this is you want to draw the two cards and then discard one card. The discard of the Naturia Sacred Tree, the Camellia, or even Mole Cricket has floating effects in the graveyard. So in case your opponent interacts with the requirements for these three cards, so it will just basically the two cards, the Sacred Tree will always grant you a copy of the Tree of Blessing. So this will be on the field, tribute it, spell summon your monsters to the field, and you basically have another good combo or interaction against your opponent. The one copy of Triple Tactics Talent, it will be your only board breaker. You can run Veilers for this. Just remove the copy of Droll and Lockbird if you are not satisfied with Droll and Lockbird. But honestly, this is one of the best counters nowadays up against Yubel or any decks that searches out and adds cards to their hand. The reason why we're running only two copy of Blessing is because of this card right here. This spins back spell cards and a copy of one Voice's Voice spell from your graveyard or from your hand back to the deck. This will allow you to cycle back your Blessing from your graveyard if you haven't actually dumped a copy of Sacred Tree. It's really good though. I do like this quite a lot, and you'll eventually have another body on the field to interact with your opponent. For the extra deck, we're running with one copy of Beast, one Barkion, one copy of Psychic and Punisher because Camellia is a level 4 tuner into a level 7 non-tuner. You can go into Psychic and Punisher. Since we're dealing with level 7s as well, we are running Big Eye, we're running Dark Arm, we're running Purrely Noir. If you don't have another copy of this, you can go with the second copy of Big Eye though. It's quite expensive for the Purrely Noir. One Divine Arsenal Zeus, one Typhon, one copy of the Incredible, one Relinquished Animal, really good card as well. One copy of Hip. Now this is another good card as well to add in your deck. If this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can target one light monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, which is another good card to cycle back a copy of Low. It's not half bad, I would say. One copy of Masquerina, one copy of Elf, one copy of Dynamundo, and a copy of Little Knight. It might be too dear or too expensive in my own opinion, but overall, it seals the deal with most of your games. So that is your deck profile, boys and girls. Let's move on with our replays. Alright guys, so here we are with the replays. So our first replay is going up against Branded. Now, when I saw the number of cards on his deck, I immediately assumed that this would be a typical Branded deck. Since we don't really have Low or any Naturia card at this point on, we can just immediately go into a copy of Saphira, into a copy of Skull Guardian later on. So this is the only thing that we can do. Now our guy is gonna go for Cyframe Gear Gamma. Now I did save Ash at this point because first and foremost, if you're dealing with Branded, Ash is a really good counter to Branded Fusion. Second, I don't want to use Ash Blossom and then this card will just use again the effect if ever I want to use the effect of Saphira. So might as well gonna let him summon the monster to the field, and our opponent can't even use a copy of Imperm. So that's still perfectly good on our side. He negates a copy of Saphira, we go for Triple Tactics, draw two cards, and what do you know, we got a good starter. So Camellia, dump a copy of Cricket, go for Blessing, throw summon the Cricket to the field. Special summon the Cricket, and since he has the highest attack on the field, we can special summon two monsters on the field, which is the Sunflower and another copy of Camellia. So with this, we synchro summon into a copy of Naturia Beast, and there you go, Mole Cricket will be summoned to the field, and we will sacrifice the three monsters on the field into a copy of Skull Guardian. Honestly, I could have got a copy of Ceruvis, the Ritual Monster, but I think this is a minor misplay on my part. Nevertheless, it went out perfectly fine. So there we go. He used Fusion Deployment and another copy of Talent or Thrust. So far, like I said, this is an Omni Negate for all spell cards. As long as he activates spell cards, we can just negate it. And the only, like I said, downside for this is Super Poly. So, summon the Cartesia to the field and sacrifice it with a Grand Ganul. Grand Ganul will dump one card to the graveyard, and since he has a monster from the X deck, we spell summon a copy of Mole Cricket to the field. There we go. I think he has the highest attack on the field, so we can spell summon 2 monsters, which is another copy of Cricket and a Naturia. Naturia Camellia will dump a copy of Blessing and dump a copy of Sacred Tree and get a copy of Blessing. So at this point, battle phase, he will destroy my monster. So all I need to do is just remove a copy of Albion from the graveyard. Even though he gets a copy of Blazing Cartesia, it's not really a big issue. So there we go. Sacrifice that. And I think that's basically one of the best things that happened here. So we go for Blessings again. Spirit summon our beast to the field. Link off into a copy of Link Kuriboh. And then go into a copy of SP Little Knight, since I don't want this to touch the graveyard for the lingering effect. So I did not actually do battle at this point on, because once you use that effect, it can't do battle. So our guy, during his turn, will summon a copy of Fallen of Albaz. We just banish them and then not activate its effect. It's not really like a big issue. So there we go. And at this point, we have a good starting hand with a copy of Barrier, getting a copy of Low. Low will be on the field, getting a copy of Blessings. Blessing will get a copy of Saphira. Saphira will be dumped to the graveyard, getting a copy of 1 Ritual Monster and dumping the Prayers. And then we actually combo it off at this point on. So there we go. Summon a copy of Skull Guardian to the field. Skull will get I think I got a copy of Ceruvis, the Ritual Monster here. Then Low will be summoned back to the field. There we go. I did get... Oh yeah, alright. I forgot that Ceruvis, the Ritual Monster, was in the graveyard, but I did try to get this one. Nevertheless, we won the game with this build. So that's game number 1. Let's move on with game number 2. Okay, so for game number 2, boys and girls, we have here 1 Cricket, 1 Call by the Grave, 1 Blessing, 1 Sacred Tree, and a copy of Infinite Impermanence. So we start off this with Cricket. We're also summoning a copy of our Naturia Camellia, which our guy is going to chain with a copy of Maxi here. We just have to negate it with a Call by the Grave. There we go. And summon the Camellia to the field. Dumping a copy of the Sacred Tree, getting a copy of the Blessings. And then the Blessing will be activated, summoning a copy of the Cricket, going into a copy of Naturia Beast. That's it. And Mole Cricket will be summoned to the field. We set 1 card, Infinite Impermanence, and then a copy of Sacred Tree. This allows us to sacrifice and spell summon 1 level 4 Earth, Plant, or Insect. So our guy just bricked for some reason, and I understand because he is playing Yubel. So we go for Low. We got a copy of Low, get a copy of Barrier, again, then get a copy of Saphira, dumping Saphira, and a Prayer, getting a copy of Skull Guardian at this point, banishing, and go for a Ritual Summoning into a copy of Skull Guardian. Now, I was thinking maybe this guy's using Yubel, so might as well gonna be safe. So Low will be on the field, and get a copy of Ceruvis at this point on. So, like I said, we spin back a copy of Prayers plus the other card, and then we go for an attack. Our guy will use the effect of Spirit of Yubel. We use the effect since it uses its effect. So, spell summon the Ceruvis Ritual Monster, and he will try to use the effect of Spirit of Yubel. We will negate it with Imperm. Now, if this card is still going to be destroyed, you still search out a card. So, eventually, I need to negate it. And so that we can still deal damage. It's basically 6,300. It's a really big attack. So there we go. During his turn, at this point, we actually won this game at this point. So he spins back Yubel and Spirit of Yubel, summoning a copy of Phantom, and we just use the effect of the Ritual Monster to negate the summon, banish the Phantom. That is basically our game number 2. Let's move on with game number 3. Okay, so for game number 3, we have 2 copies of Skull Guardian, 1 copy of Barrier, and 2 Imperms. Our opponent's going first. And so far, we are dealing with Purrelys, by the way. So our guy used a copy of Wraithsoth here, getting a copy of Unicorn. Unicorn will be on the field. We will negate it. There we go. And I think he bricked on some cards. I really thought that he has some follow-up at this point on. So he's gonna summon a copy of Lily on the field. We just have to negate it. This card is also a really formidable card. So having to negate this and not interact with the graveyard is good. So at this point, he will go into a copy of Linkuriboh and just end his turn. So basically, he doesn't have really good cards on hand at this point. Bought a copy of Maxi. Alright. So there we go. We go for a copy of Barrier here. Barrier will search on a copy of Saphira. Saphira will be dumped to the graveyard. Dumping a copy of Prayers plus a copy of the Saphira Divine Dragon. Our guy is going to use the effect for Unicorn and then banish my my Little Knight. I don't know. Okay. Nevertheless, we summoned a Skull Guardian to the field. And since we have a normal summon, we search out a copy of Low with a Skull Guardian. Normal summon our Low to the field. Gaining access to the Blessings. Blessings will search out get the copy of the Skull Guardian from the graveyard. And then we link off into a copy of Linkuriboh at this point. Now the reason for this is because we can summon the Saphira to the field. Saphira, since there is a Low in the graveyard, and we haven't used the effect of Low, by the way, to spell summon from the graveyard, we can use its effect. Draw 2 cards, dump 1. Since it was pretty bad that we haven't got any copy of Naturia there, but it is basically game. We got a copy of Triple Tactics, go for an attack. You'll use the effect of Linkuriboh here, and we just have to negate. And that's basically how we won the game. It's kind of good though. It's not half bad for a build, but yeah, I had a ton of fun with this type of build. Anyways, guys, that is basically the deck profile and the replays for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed this kind of content. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.